The 13th Amendment outlawed slavery in the U.S. However, as I've mentioned in previous videos, there was a loophole for punishment because of committing a crime. So what exactly was that loophole? We're going to discuss that today. The loophole allowed for the creation of a system that helped preserve slavery, just not by name, as slavery itself was outlawed. So what exactly was this loophole? The phrase in the 13th Amendment that points to this loophole is, and I quote from that amendment, "Neither slavery nor voluntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction." So in other words, slavery and involuntary servitude shall not exist within the United States or any place of their jurisdiction except as punishment for a crime. And in the aftermath of the Civil War, states, especially in the South, rushed to take advantage of this loophole. Now, it should be mentioned that not only Southern states did this, Northern states took advantage as well, writing this phrase into their constitutions, but Northern states did not go as far as black codes. And it should be mentioned that Congress is currently trying to get rid of this loophole that is in the 13th Amendment. I'm not going to get into the current ramifications of this amendment, but there are plenty of other videos out there for that. So how did states take advantage of this loophole? As I've mentioned, states took advantage by passing black codes. As I've said in other videos, these limited economic freedoms, criminalized joblessness, and basically, well, they did monitor, they made it so authorities could monitor everyday life of African Americans. So after the passage of the 13th Amendment, slavery was abolished. People could go, or people were allowed to go make a life for themselves. And I've mentioned this in other videos, but slaves were promised 40 acres and a mule. And then Andrew Johnson got in the way of that. So that's just another way that policies by Andrew Johnson helped or did not help the cause and helped further this system of slavery in all but name. That I have a whole nother video on that. You can go check that out. But again, black codes criminalized lawlessness, basically controlled every aspect of an African American's life, and many states thought up erroneous charges, false charges against African Americans so that they could be put back into slavery. One is malicious mischief. So basically, if an African American was deemed to have an attitude problem or something like that, they could be forced to go back onto a plantation and work for people. And one of these systems that was employed on the plantations that a lot of African Americans were forced to go back onto was debt patronage. This is, as I've explained in a couple other videos, a way for landowners to keep African Americans on their land and basically have the African American people work off debts that the landowners were owed, and the system of debt patronage basically made it so that these debts would never be repaid or could never be repaid. So people were on these plantations many decades after abolition, and some of these systems lasted into the 1930s and 40s as well, I believe. So again, lacking land because Andrew Johnson took away that and gave them to other previous landowners. Slaves were forced to enter into labor contracts, and these fees were an easy way to bring back servitude through that loophole in the 13th Amendment. And then also there is a system of convict leasing that started. So basically, states hire prisoners to do certain work, and that still happens today. That is just a quick summary of the loophole in the 13th Amendment that states took advantage of in the aftermath of the passage of the 13th Amendment. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment any other topics in history you would like me to discuss. Otherwise, I will see you here next week for another video.